Many animals in the animal kingdom, they kill instinctively. Nobody has to tell them anything. The bigger fish eat the smaller fish. The lions go out, they hunt. Who's to say that's not what we're supposed to be doing, right? If they got beef, they go ahead and handle that to the death, and it's just part of nature. Who's to say that this isn't how we're supposed to be? Like, we might see it as uncivilized right now or brutal, whatever, but maybe we're supposed to be like that too. Who's to say we can't? There's nobody who can never say that you're wrong about it for even thinking like that, right? Society will hold you accountable, but really, who's to say every other species on the planet, if they got beef, they settle it to the death. So what's the difference between us? What makes us so different than any other mammal or anything period, that we can't just go out here, okay, I don't like you, like Shannon was saying, go ahead and duel it out, or fisticuffs or whatever. Who's to say that that's wrong? The cheating thing, that's something that we just invented. Monogamy wasn't a thing. This is all things that we've created as a society to say this is how you should do it. And a lot of it is to control the way we do things. So some people, it would run smoothly according to the people in charge, but really we could easily get back. Like, we're one natural disaster or a power grid failure or some type of war away from seeing how humans really get down, right? Anytime you see a natural disaster, you saw what was happening, like the Superdome in 2012 or whenever that was, whenever they had the Hurricane Katrina. You saw what was happening, people reverted back to their instincts. When it gets real, we revert back to our instincts, and we have no other choice. And you couldn't tell anybody that they were doing the wrong thing, because that's what they instinctively did. We became a lot more primal. Right now, it's like we're all just in an act right now. None of us are really behaving like we really want to behave. Everybody else, every other species has the freedom, unless they're under our care, to act on impulse. We are stuck within society's constraints, and because of what they tell us to do. This is not okay. This is okay. You go to Dubai and scream, you're going to get locked up. This is what people are telling you what to do all the time. But we don't really know how we would really behave if we would have anything even called morals at all, if we're left to our own devices.
I would disagree with that. If you look at listen, morality comes from God, bro. I mean, that's what it is. Okay. And we can battle it out or have a conversation about whatever religion or whatnot, but good and bad comes from God. If you're asking me, it comes from God. He wrote it in the Ten Commandments. He tells us exactly what it is, how we should treat each other, and how we should treat Him. To say that you should have your own morality suggests that your truth is better than mine, right? But that's the problem with majority of Black folks who say that they are Christians, or most of the time they don't even operate from the position of the morality that they say that they are aligned to. If you're saying you're a Christian but you don't follow the Bible and you're not even reading it, then how can you even say that there is a moral compass to be followed? Because if people would actually read the Bible and follow the Bible, they would be much better off. And that can be, if you look at even a guy named Jordan Peterson. I don't know if y'all follow him or not, but Jordan Peterson.
Yeah, I'm familiar with Jordan Peterson.
Jordan Peterson was an atheist for the longest, right? And he battled the idea of even believing in a higher power, but he kept understanding that his logic was coming from somewhere. And so because he then began to study, he realized that there was a God, right? And so that's where morality comes from. And then if you want to talk about any other thing, you can. But as it relates to being, it's going to be broken if you're not following Christ, in my estimation.
I hate to be the one to go there, but religion,
no, you don't.
Religion is very new. What did all the people who existed long before religion do? What were they guided? Right? They were.
Religion's not new though.
Okay, well, organized religion is new. Christianity is a very young religion. I mean, as it relates to how long humans have been in existence, very young. So my contention would be, as a person who's not Christian, what was the guiding light? Because I mean, and based on what you're saying, it's kind of saying that it's not a social construct, that people didn't come together and agree that these are the things we shouldn't do. Instead, that organized religion brought it to bear. Which organized religion, we can't argue. Organized religion is very new. The other thing, the Bible definitely says 949 to 242. So just saying.
I
want to add to
the statements
well,
when it's
look.
Go ahead.
Oh, my bad.
No,
I think what Humble Dad was saying
that.
was definitely a great point. And I think what Trev was saying was a great point. Like, I think it's kind of like in between the two of those, right? Because, like, I genuinely think that even though I do agree that morality comes from God, I don't think God's morality was meant for humankind. And the reason why, I think the Bible supports that, right? Because what was the fall of mankind? The fall of mankind was when they gained the knowledge of good and evil, which is essentially what morality is. Mankind was never even meant to be able to decide or determine what good and the difference between good and evil, because that was beyond our knowledge. You get what I'm saying? So I feel like that if we're going to go from the religious standpoint, if we're going to use that as the foundation of the conversation, right? We're the product of that. Mankind fall for trying to know the same level of knowledge that God had, which is understanding what's right and wrong and good and evil. And that's for God to know. That's not for us to know. God made us to just follow whatever will he had. Perfect example of that too is like in the Bible, God sent the Israelites to kill several people. But the Bible also says don't kill. But when he sent the Israelites, and he said, not only did he say kill all the men, he said take their wives and their women and make them your wives. So at the end of the day, it's like, so who am I to judge? Like if I'm trying to judge God's morality from a human standpoint, there's plenty of people that God's killed, right? There's plenty of God done flooded the whole earth. So I just don't think if we're going to say morality comes from God, then we also have to accept that God's morality wasn't intended to be given to mankind to begin with. You know what I mean? If you're going based off the Bible, Satan supposedly gave us that understanding by giving that apple to Eve, or giving the fruit to Eve or whatever, and then she handed over to Adam. So based off of that, we can't determine what morality is. You just got to leave that to God at the end of the day.
But okay.
Well, see, that's why it leads back to what I was explaining. All living creatures in the universe know the difference between right and wrong. And that's a good point, because as Sean said, Christianity is new. You know, it's 2,000 years old, roughly. You know, we've been around way longer than way before that. So, but think about this though, and this is to Trev. The thing about it is, when you look at the animal kingdom and they just out there just killing and just, but that's all they're eating. That's all that the instincts that most. So there is what is 20 quadrillion species on planet Earth. That's 20 billion species on planet Earth. There's about 9 million animal species on planet Earth. It's only about 20 that kill for sport. So out of 9 million species of animals, I'm not talking about living, because living things is 20 quadrillion, but just 9 million living species, different type of animals, some with vertebrates, some without. It's only about 20 of us that kill just for fun. Just 20 of us that kill because we pissed. We pissed off at somebody. We pissed off at another animal, and we're not killing to eat and survive. So going back to Cloud's point and to Sean's point, predating the Bible, we were still here. And back then, what was our guiding light in morality? I think it's because, as Sean said it earlier, it's baked in the cake. We just know what's right and wrong. Now, do we decide to follow it? We're also a greedy species. You know, I know what's right and wrong, but I'm gonna kill you anyway because I want your shit. I know what's right and wrong, but I'm hungry and I want your food. I want your wife. I want your house. I want your car. I want to live like you live. I'm jealous and envious of how you are living versus how I'm living. And so I'm going to do what I got to do, including stepping on other human beings to get to where you are or where I'd like to be myself. And despite the fact that I know it's wrong, I'm going to do it anyway.